everybody, and welcome to Late Night Live number 125. How's it going, Cyril? Nice to see you. Don't really have a plan tonight. We're just gonna have a chill writing session and see how it goes. Hello, Otis Winnie. How's it going? How you doing? Instagram's response to what was it, last Thursday I posted the video, the slow motion nib snap video, which I've posted some of those before, but I always crack up at the responses I get. So many people say, "Oh, I'm sorry, hopefully it's okay, hopefully you didn't have to redo it," like it was like a piece or something like that. The responses are always like that when I post snap videos. "Oh, I'm so sorry to see that," but it happens a lot. I haven't had a ton of practice time this week, so I might be a little rusty. Fingers crossed I'm not. Hello, Jay. How you doing? What are you up to this evening, Jay? Working on anything in particular? Pretty sure I write the word curious more than any other word. What would you guys say is your most written word? I know some people it's minimum, other people it's penmanship. I know I tend to write this one a lot as well. I don't know why. I write the word freedom a lot. Not sure why. Well, I'm glad to hear you're writing now then, Jay. And don't worry about not writing in a week. It happens. I do believe I'm probably in a similar boat right now. It's been a busy week, and I was out of town last week. I can't believe it's already been a week since I was out of town. Time is going by so fast. Your most written word is yesterday. Interesting. What about yesterday, do you think? Is it the Y? Or something about the yesterday? What appeals to you about yesterday? Other than living in the past. Sorry. Zoom you guys in just a little bit more. I feel like I always start the stream not zoomed in enough. That's better. Nice. We all had a crazy week. That's good. Gotta be this week. Everything behind me. I know you guys who've been coming to the streams for a while have heard it. You're like, okay, Mike, yeah, you're never gonna replace the thing behind you. But it's happening. The shelves that go, the two sets of drawers. I have 6 drawers that go on either side of me against the wall. They're going there and down there. They are sitting right here beside me. You can't see them, but they're right beside me. They're all stained and put together and ready. And then the wood shop that is building my desktop contacted me yesterday to tell me that the desktop is ready. So I have to go pick it up from them. Then I have to stain it somehow. I don't know if I'm going to do it on my deck or at a fence place. I haven't figured that out yet. And then build everything that goes, the whole unit. And I want to paint that wall, I think, too, maybe, while I'm at it. So it's already chaotic in here at the moment. I was gonna write on white paper today, but I had to write on black paper because my white writing paper, is in my file cabinet. And my file cabinet is currently blocked by the two drawer units that have to go here. My apartment's very small, and it currently has more furniture than it should ever have. So it's a bit madness, and it's just gonna get more madness as the week goes on. Something's wrong with your Wi-Fi. Whoa, that's no good. The descender Y into an E is a nice connection. That long flowing compound curve feels good. And you get to practice the shaded T and D, which makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yesterday. I guess I didn't use a loop descender for either of those, but oh well. Hello, Alaskan Brian. Oh, so yesterday just has everything you want to practice then. That's a perfect letter for you. That's awesome. Or a perfect word. Is the video choppy for anybody else, or is it just Swinny? Let me know. YouTube hasn't told me that there's any issues. Nah, I wouldn't say nicer, Jay. Just different. Right. See, Alaskan Brian, that's great. You go to a restaurant, you have a nice meal, and then you write a thank you letter. That's awesome. You know who else is really good at that type of stuff? If you guys know Kalo Makeart or Kalo Chu, she everywhere she goes, I feel like she writes calligraphy thank you notes and name things for people everywhere. Restaurants, hotels, just everywhere. She writes things for people in calligraphy, which is great. I'm bad at that. I maybe think about it later, but I should be better at that. I will try to take inspiration from Alaskan Brian. What up, Skeet? How's it going? Oh, nice, Zero. You're getting all caught up. I've never done one of the, Inktober challenges. I should one day. How's it going, Marilyn? Oh, it's choppy for Brian too. Weird. I don't have any frames dropped, and YouTube's been a green square the whole time. I'm confused. Normally, if my computer makes it choppy, I get dropped frames and I can see those numbers. But when the internet is bad, then I get dropped download frames. And YouTube tells me that, and that's also at 0. curious. Whoops. I don't know what it is about the word curious that I write so much. Or what it is about the word that makes me write it so much. I don't think it's actually the word itself. I feel like I find a lot of things curious, so I always tend to write it. Curiosity, one of my favorite things in the world. Curious about, yeah. Curious about everything. The peanut world in calligraphy. I don't know what that means. The peanut world in calligraphy. What's going on, Jack? Do you think if you did your withdrawal slips and everything in calligraphy, Brian, they'd be able to read them? I'm curious. Oh, peanuts! Got you. Got you. Snoopy. That makes sense. Charlie Brown. Understood. Sorry. Didn't connect the dots there. Your internet may arrive by pigeon, but it is gorgeous there. Trying to get better at adding those little accents exactly where I want them. Oh, you got the new book, Shaq. What do you think about it? I've heard a lot of great things so far. Give me a hairline. Lost my hairline there. I wouldn't call it a tremor. When he writes, he has a shake. When he's writing slow. So you'll see sort of the shake as he's going around his large ovals and flourishes and whatnot. What if there was a style of ornamental penmanship? Just doing that T and accidentally going so far below the baseline made me wonder. What if, like, the I was like... Oops, I wanted this to keep going. Maybe too weird. I guess that could look like a J. That's true. Yeah, that's the one scary thing about trying to mail anything that has cursive or handwriting or any kind of penmanship on it. It's risky. Whoa. Let's get some fluidity in that leather, please. It's a little better. I'm glad you're learning a lot from it, Shaq. I have no doubt there's a ton of information in there. I skimmed through it really quickly a while back. I do not have a copy myself at the moment yet, but it would be a wealth of information. Gotta be careful, the iPad will do that to you. Cyril, that's what Shaq's just talking about. He just received it. Oh, you got the cursive one too. Nice. I'm curious if he's ever gonna reprint the ornamental penmanship one. Forgot an E. Whoops. Reprint. Whoopsies. Ooh, the indigo is really nice. I had issues with the indigo ink when I first got it. I had to strain it because I think it got frozen or something in transport. So I had to strain it, but then since then and getting the right mixture of water, it's been great, though I haven't used it in quite a while. But it's a lovely ink. Hello, Eric. How's it going? Did you see in the Instagram post or in the story I just posted? Your piece is on my piano. It's right there. I can see it. Right in front of me. Right there. I see it every day. Eric did a really awesome, engrossing piece about the establishment of the Creatrium, and it makes me very happy. Yeah, I think you can see it in the story post in the background. If you look beyond all the chaos that is my desk of what I look at in front of me every day. Which I'm also very excited. Once that unit's all built, I also had the wood shop. I have a desk there's gonna be a shelf in front of me, so I have some nicer stuff, and my laptop and whatnot can sit on a little shelf instead. And in a perfect, eventually, I hope to have my laptop stay behind me on a desk, and then I'll just have a monitor up in front of me for when I'm streaming, that will sit on a little shelf, just a little external monitor, but everything will be powered from my laptop, which will sit closed behind me out of the way. Maybe, eventually, we'll see. What's going on, Giancarlo? Nice to see you. It's tiny, way in the background. It's easy to be distracted in that photo by all of the stuff on my desk. Nice to have you here. Has it been eons? Doesn't feel like it's been eons. I don't feel eons older than last time. I'm sort of in apparently, I didn't realize I was, but I feel like I'm sort of in a lowercase mood today, which is unusual for me. Cyril, you should give it a shot. Yeah, happy early birthday to you, Marilyn. It's exciting. Do you have any big plans? I love how simple changes to lowercase letters make such a difference to the look of a piece or a look of any writing. For example, here's the word reprint written 5 times, well, one of them spelled wrong, but using different R's in different places, different variations of the P, different shade placements. You can change up, even by little bits, the spacing between letters, and it completely changes the look of the writing. It's amazing. And a beautiful thing about writing. Oh no, don't do it, Marilyn. Don't get sick. Say no. Yes, it is 90% of writing. And I, for many years, fought it. I usually much prefer practicing ornamental capitals and whatnot. But every once in a while, something comes over me. And I quite enjoy working on the lowercase letters. But I find that when I work on lowercase letters, I find it less to be about perfect form. I mean, I have practice sessions that are about perfect form and comparing to the books and things like that. But a lot of times when I practice lowercase letters, it's more about the feel, or then I like experimenting with with spacing and just with where lifts go and how the letter feels and things like that. Where the specific pauses go, whether you lift or not. Like, I know one letter that I feel like that's the most apparent on. I always find it interesting when I watch people write that variation of the capital or of the lowercase r, because I feel like everybody kind of pauses and checks their movement at different places, sort of. And some people do like the little, we'll call it the compound curve, the little squiggle on top, so fast. Yeah, it's just fascinating to me. Even if the outcome ends up looking the exact same as somebody else's, I find how people write very fascinating. Or like we've talked about it before with the lowercase c, the certain people who do the overturn and the hook and then do the downstroke and the exit stroke, or there's the people that do the entry stroke and then the hook and the downstroke. Come on, give me a hairline there. Like, depending on how people break that up. Whereas I do it, I think, not the normal way for people who study ornamental and rapid movement and whatnot. Whereas I like to go all the way into the hook. I don't lift at all. I retrace after the hook. Kind of like in traditional Spencerian. What's going on? In traditional Spencerian, you would have that little loop on top. I kind of do it like that, but without an actual loop, just with a little hook. And using the same movement, I could pretty much lift, but the lift feels weird. Just because of what my habits are. Hello, Peter. Correct me if I'm wrong, Peter. Is this your first time chatting in the YouTube chat? We have some other Peters in here, but I don't believe I recognize your photo. Correct me if I'm wrong or misremembering. I do have a bad memory. Oh, Peter, is it Coffee Lover? You don't have to log into your other account. Is this regular Peter? Is this Coffee Lover Peter? I have to admit, I don't know your last name. You threw me for a loop. I get you on the Ascender loop. Shaq. The Ascender loop, in the lowercase letters, I think that's the one, I mean, that throws me for a loop. Nice. How's it going, Peter? You didn't have to change accounts. My first thought when Peter started chatting was, ooh, we have a new Peter. But never mind. You are still the only Peter. If any other Peter comes, then they're going to be Peter number 2. I love it. Oh, Coffee Lover Peter. Oh, you're Coffee Lover Peter. Got it. Awesome. That's the world we live in. We are usernames. I'll never forget the my first Iampith, when I met, because Instagram was pretty new, and there wasn't a very big in Instagram, even internet in general, but Instagram calligraphy or penmanship community. There wasn't a lot of us at the time, and when I attended my first conference, so many people, it was the, oh, you're so-and-so, oh, you're so-and-so, because it was so new, and we all knew, a lot of us knew each other's work. Like Chin, for example. I had known and met Chin years before realizing Chin was Chin, from the LA Pen Show and things like that. But yeah, it was cool meeting everybody, but that thing, oh, you're so-and-so on Instagram, you're so-and-so on Instagram. I don't feel like I feel that anymore. It's the same now, but there's just, everybody's on it, that it doesn't feel the same. That makes sense. See, it's interesting, Giancarlo. When I really enjoy, I quite like descender strokes. I like doing descender loops. Well, that's not a very good one. But I really like doing descender loops into ascender loops for some reason. I mean, they don't come out great all the time, but doing like a Y into an L or something like that. I love the super long connection that goes from down all the way to up. Well, those aren't very good, but just a feeling of that fully long connection I quite enjoy. And I don't want to break it up when I do it. It makes me want to go all the way through. But that being said, I most of the time we'll do that variation of a descender. Or lately, for things like the Y and the G, I've really been liking just a really short, just that little guy. I quite like. Don't do it or you'll regret it. Our arms can be very threatening sometimes. This is true. I was thinking the other day about the wow, no space at all. I was thinking about like the double L and things like that. And I always produce, well, I would say better. If I was doing a double ascender, I would create a better letter when I pause in the middle. But something about doing a double L always makes me want to just keep going and not stop the whole way through. Clean my nib real quick. Yeah, it always feels like I don't want to stop when I'm doing it. It's always better when I stop, but... Ordering more nibs. So I have heard that the current batches of Leonard Principles that people are buying are pretty stiff. But that being said, they are a staple nib, and I feel like every penman should always just have some. So you could get some Leonard Principles, and then also you get a feel for what the modern make or what the modern version of it feels like, or the current version of it. And then same with Hunt 101s. I don't think the Hunt 101s have the same stiffness issue. With the Hunt 101s, you run the risk of potentially getting off slant or off center nib slit or sort of angled nib slit sometimes. But oftentimes that's not a huge deal. When you're writing, a lot of them still write really nicely. If you, I don't remember, Peter, if you tune your nibs or not. If you tune them, then that's, unless it's a crooked, like sometimes the nib slit is angled, usually it's just off center. And if it's off center, you can grind the tines to, you can balance them back out again. But those are the really only two that I would say you should purchase. Unless you're doing, unless you're wanting to do some slower work and whatnot, then it's always good to have Nico G's on hand. But I know there are hundreds and hundreds of different kind of nibs out there, but my suggestions are always just a Leonard Principle and a Hunt 101. The Hunt 101s, I would likely order more of, just because if there happens to be one that, or some that have a slight issue or they're slightly off center, if you order like 10, there might be a couple in there that are bad, but if you order 3, you always run the risk of potentially getting 3 not good ones. Ideally that never happens, but if you order more, your chances of having more good ones are better. Yeah, I mean, Hunt 22s, I know a lot of people really like. The 56s are popular as well. I don't use them, but I know a lot of people really love them. I have some, but I don't use them very often. That's also one good thing about like the new Leonard Principles. If you're not trying to do super heavy shades and flourished things as far as controlling lowercase letters and whatnot, they do really nice work. I keep meaning to ask Mike McCrudgington what nibs he's using, because he starts new nibs relatively often, and I think he uses Leonard Principles. But I don't know if they're old batch, new batch, or whatnot. I'm honestly not sure. I need to ask him. If anybody knows, he will probably watch this stream later and hear the question, but I will ideally have asked him before he watches this stream. Tonight I am using a Leonard Principle, but I think this one has been sharpened a little bit. Can't remember if I sharpened this one or not, but I assume I have at some point or another. I have tuned it a little bit. Didn't make it a whole lot sharper, I just tuned it so it would give me a better hairline when I'm writing with white ink. I always wonder what to do I gotta look at some vintage pieces. If I'm doing like a running hand, I have things spaced out. You can see here like from the baseline to the top of the N is just an even taper. But there's essentially, I mean, there's many ways you could do it, but you can either do like the I and constantly taper. Same with going from the end, constantly taper into the K. But then you get this long wandering, or do you train your muscles to do like an I, follow the baseline, and then go into the N, and then go into the K. This is an extreme example of sticking to the baseline in your connective strokes. And you get almost like a, isn't the Frigidaire logo? It's kind of like that. Oh, that's good, Marilyn. Thank you for the suggestion on the black or on the paper. Oh, Cyril's buying all the nibs these days. The Gelot 303. Well, wait, let me make sure I'm answering your question. Gelot 303, I love it, but I find it more prone to... Yes, the Gelot 303 is much sharper than the Leonard Principle and the Hunt 101. So you're going to... Your hand needs to be lighter if you're doing ornamental penmanship with it. A lot of people would use it for grosser script or shaded scripts and things like that because you can really control your tines. That being said, it's harder to maintain an even pressure because it does flex really easily. But if you're doing rapid movement with it, you have to be really careful because it can dig into the page really easily. But if you can control it, it produces beautiful, beautiful work. $24-karat gold ink. Schnazzy. That would be very expensive, or that would be expensive, I imagine. Yeah, I always recommend, and this is sort of the, it's the quick but call it depressing, it's a hard way. If you want to train your hand to be light, grab a Gelot 303 and write with it on whatever paper. And if it snaps, just don't worry about shades and all that kind of stuff at this point. If you're just doing lowercase letters with little accent shades here and there, that's fine. But if you're finding that you're getting nib snaps and things like that, that tells you something about your hand. There is something to be said for staying with a stiffer nib while you're practicing control and whatnot, but if you want to do movement writing, or even if you're not doing movement writing, even if you're doing slow writing, even if you're going to be writing like this, it's still very beneficial to be able to have that nice light touch. So you're in the habit of not applying too much pressure. Do I have a Gelot 303 here at my desk, I wonder? Let's see. In a perfect world, I will open my nib tin, and there will be a prepped Gelot 303 just waiting there for me. Let's find out if that's gonna happen. So these are the nibs that I've currently been using, and on this side, they are smorgasbord, or a collection of random. There's a Gelot 303. Is it prepped though? I don't know. Definitely not prepped. See if I have a prepped one in here. If not, I could prep this one. Maybe I'll write with a 303 for a little bit. I haven't written with a 303 in a long time. Check the nibs on this side. Going through nibs. Are there not? Oh yeah, there's one. They tend to stick inside other nibs. There's another one. See, I always have a couple Nico G's at the desk, just in case. What else we got in here? Oh, that's a Gelot 604 EF. Oh, there's another 30. Oh, that's not a 303. That's an Esterbrook, what, 350? 355. Itty bitty little thing. Little mapping nib. Okay, I think that's all of them. I found all the ones hiding. Cool. Put these back in the nib tin. Sorry, time consuming. Nibs, nibs, nibs. Alright, now which one of these Gelot 303s? Are any of them prepped? I don't know if you can see the difference on the video between these two. So they're both modern 303s. But if you look at these outside ones, oh yeah, I don't know if you can tell in the video. These two are a different shade of blue than this one. This one's like a dull matte blue, and these two are like shinier, more of a lighter, vibrant blue. Oh, sorry. So James, should I turn the volume of the stream up, or should I can't control the volume of the volumes of the ad, I guess. Was the ad loud? Sorry. Lurker James in the house. Does this mean you're coming out of your yearly calligraphy hibernation? Now he's regretting talking because now we all know he's here and we're gonna talk to him. Okay, I want to write with the matte one. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe these shiny ones are newer ones, and the more matte blue one was an older run from probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. That was kind of magical, if memory serves. I think that was the dull ones. Let's see, can I just prep this with spit for now, or am I gonna have to get toothpaste? Fingers crossed this works with spit today. Fingers crossed. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's sort of prepped. We'll see how it goes. Gelot 303 for the first time in ages. Just the hairline. Did I spell that right? I didn't. I forgot a D. Whoops. The hairline is just so nice. Well, it depends, Cyril, what you mean by old ones. Um, because there was a time, a number of years ago, where John Neal legitimately stopped selling 303s, and periodically they would send me some and ask me if they were good enough to sell again, because for a while they went through a really bad patch where they weren't very good at all. But before that bad patch, and I'm pretty sure every store sold out of what was before that bad patch, they were magic. They were amazing. I got a bunch back then at that time, and they were like magic. They became my go-to. I preferred them over Leonard Principles. I preferred them over Hunt 101s. They were like my exclusive nib for a while. But I made some posts about them, and John Neal had reached out to me and asked me to stop posting about them because everybody was sold out of them. And then I think it was a mistake. Basically, I think the material was just thinner than normal, and I got lucky. We got lucky in this one batch that were absolutely perfect, but then in trying to maintain that with new metal, just the quality control was too hard to keep up with, so a lot of nibs got really messed up and were getting shipped out just super wonky right out of the box. So they had to rework it, and then the newer ones then got stiffer. But when you go back a certain number of years, I can't. They're magic. They were amazing. Like, they would do giant shades. I don't know if this is one of them or not, but ooh, that's sharp. I don't know if this is one of them or not. The hairline just feels so good with these nibs. Like for lowercase, I only want to use, when I use a 303, I only want to use a 303. The vintage 303s, they're not blue. The vintage ones don't flex nearly as far. The vintage ones are much more suitable for like engrosser script or things like that. I wouldn't use them as much for ornamental penmanship and whatnot as you can with some of the more modern ones. I wish the camera could pick up the how different they feel to me. Because it's interesting. Like, I sharpen my nibs, as you guys know. But when you sharpen like a Leonard Principle or Hunt 101, the metal doesn't get like thinner. I mean, you're getting a closer point, but the snap and the solidness is still there. But because of the like curvature and size difference of the 303, they are snappy, but the material is so thin that when you're writing, like it feels like it's very, very close to catching in the paper or snapping, while at the same time being like ultra smooth and wonderful. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like with a sharpened Leonard Principle, for example, or Hunt 101, they can feel really, really sharp, but a comparable, like if I get a tuned nib this fine and sharp for my lowercase, it doesn't feel as good as like a 303, in my opinion. It's interesting. I write the word wonder or wonderful a lot as well. I like writing wonderful. Now, what Gelot 303 would potentially also be good at. I do pretty heavy shaded capitals, but if you're working to control those shades, working on doing a lightly shaded alphabet, you can go with a nice chill stem or shade. I wonder, Marilyn, if you had something oily on your fingers, perhaps? That happens to me sometimes. My go-to is always spit, and if that doesn't work, then I go the toothpaste route. I've never been a potato sticker. Nothing against it. I've just never been my thing. No, but sometimes it's just, I don't know, sometimes nibs just get oily. Like, it's like there's oil in the air or something. Even that sounds ridiculous, but I feel like sometimes there almost has to be. I think sometimes too, depending on what I've eaten, because as everybody knows, I use spit. Good night, Eric. Sweet dreams. I use saliva most of the time. I gotta be careful. If I've been eating something that's greasy before I'm writing, my saliva does the exact opposite of what I want it to. Just a lightly shaded alphabet. Nice. I'm glad to hear it. Glad to have an influence. Smaller, smaller, smaller. Meh. The copperplate community is fine. They can handle it. I won't lie to you. I don't like any of the copperplate capitals. So, there you go. Sorry. I know a lot of people find them beautiful. I'm not a fan of them, personally. Nothing against them. It's just personal preference. I'm not a fan. Oh, I feel like my paper's greasy or something down at the bottom corner here. My hand laying on it, maybe? Looking at your hand. I don't know exactly what you mean, Cyril. I apologize. Getting into an ice rind with a fairy for me. An ice rind with a fairy? It's a riddle. What? Yeah. Apologies to everybody in the stream. I love riddles and I love puzzles, but when I'm streaming, I feel like I'm not the smartest. Somebody's got to break down ice rind with a fairy. My apologies. Oh, what have you guys done today? I haven't written with a July 303 in so long, and this is like magic. I love them. The lowercase letters just look so good in them. There's never any ink where it doesn't belong. It's only where I put it. That's the best thing about a super fine line. As stressful as it is because you get nib snaps and things like that, there's only ink where you want there to be ink. Like, the finest of fine accent shades are visible. Yes, Peter, get a 303. Get some 303s to practice with, because they'll also be good to lighten your hand up. you might not like riding with them at some point. But yes, I should have added that to my suggestions list. Yes, do you ever use 303s, Diego? Everybody, it's Diego, one of the people who named tonight's stream. We're having our Playctise session. Yeah, modern. But have I ever discussed with you, Diego? I can't remember. I know at different conventions and whatnot. Have you ever heard the story of the incredible 303s from like 6 years ago? The fable. I'll write a poem or a story like Michael Saul's stories one day about the fabled, beautiful batch of 303s that will go down in history. Okay, they were just amazing. But I think as far as hairline wise, I think modern ones are the same. There was a batch at one point of incredible flexy 303s that had beautiful thin hairlines, but could shade just like a Leonard Principal without any extra effort or anything. They felt amazing. Little bit different feeling. You had to get used to riding with them, but you're not wrong, Brian. Anytime you write with something like a 303, a super tuned, fine writing instrument, things can go wrong relatively quickly. I just find for lowercase letters, like I know there are business penmanship writers and practitioners in here currently. Eric left. This would have been a good sort of thing to have him in on the conversation as well. But like for the most part, when you're practicing business writing, you use a slightly more or less fine nib. You use like the school points or the medium nibs and things like that. But every time I see beautiful business penmanship, it's always crazy fine because it's written by like the penmen who do all the amazing work with a Zenarian fine writer or something like that. So I find when I write it, if my hairlines don't look like that, like super fine, I don't like it. And yeah, I think if all I did was business penmanship, I would probably only use something like a Gillette 303. I think, maybe. Because it's, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but modern day, I feel like it's gotta be the nicest hairline modern pen nib that exists out of the factory. I could be wrong about that, but I know sometimes the Leonard Principal can be similar. Sometimes. But I feel like they feel different. Oops, paper moved. I don't know what the modern ones are like. What the ones that you purchase now are like. I'm not sure. But I do know they are very fine. They're very sharp. Taking a Ferrari car in an ice skating rink. You're not wrong. But this reminds me, Cyril, of... So I'll tell a story here. When I was younger, when I was in... How old would I have been? High school age? High school, year after high school, somewhere sort of around there. I think high school. I learned how to 360 my car. I drove a rear-wheel drive car, and I drove a little hatchback, a Dodge Colt, and I could, with my handbrake, I could drive and I could 360 it by figuring out where to turn the wheel and stuff. And I learned how to do that on ice. I went to a huge icy parking lot. It wasn't a skating rink, but I went to a huge icy... I live in Canada, so it's wintertime, easy to find ice, and I would practice. But then aside from the 360, that was the fun bit, I used to legitimately go to the ice rink, or not ice rink, to the icy roads and icy parking lots and practice controlling my car when I would pull the e-brake and it would go into a spin. I did it because it was fun, and it's fun to feel like you're drifting and sliding sideways and things like that. But what came out of it was if ever I was on the road, on a highway, or in the city or something, on an icy road, and something happened, like the person in front of me started skidding and I had to aggressively get out of the way safely, or if I hit some black ice and got all swervy and had to control it, I knew how to control it. So if you take a Ferrari onto an ice rink and learn how to control that Ferrari, just imagine how much better, you're just a better driver if you control it on the ice. Maybe that's not a comparable analogy. Canada is living ice rind. It's a living ice rind. I like that. Oh yeah, when I lived in the city, when I drove, so not my Colt. At one point, I lived in the city and I drove a Cavalier Z24. Same thing, rear wheel drive. And on the way home from work, every corner, I lived in a city, so there were blocks. I would pull the e-brake and see how long I could keep my car sideways, because the roads were just ice. You could slide forever. So learning to see if I could pull the e-brake, and obviously I wouldn't do it if there was a narrow road or lots of cars or anything like that, because I can't afford that kind of insurance payments. Or what it would cost to fix something after that. But yeah, I used to go sideways a lot to control my car. But then anytime things happened on the road, I was most of the time pretty chill, because I knew how to slide my car around in a safe way. So you hated it, and now they're magical. I'm changing people's minds here. Well, it's one of those things. If you use a Gillot 303 when you're new to writing, or especially if you're learning movement writing or something like that, if you don't already have a super light hand, it's probably rather torturous. Because it takes some control to use them. But once you can use them, they're wonderful. You just gotta think happy thoughts. That's all it is. Fly to Never Neverland. Whoops. Is that how you spell cooperate? Nope, that's supposed to be an E. Ugh. One day I'll learn to spell. I do believe. You gotta believe. It's important. .303. Weird. I never do lowercase writing. Which is very strange. Something about me wants to write lowercase today for some reason. I'm not sure why. Controlling that taper, I think, is a lot easier with a 303, even then, like, compared to a Leonard Principle or a Hot 101. This shade on, like, the M and the N, having that be in the exact right spot when it's super small, like not going too soon or too late, I feel like that just feels more, I don't know, innate? Is that the word? It feels more natural. You don't have to try to control it as much. Or at least I feel like I don't when I use a 303. Just the littlest amount of pressure there puts it in the exact right spot. Oh, spinning top. Can we see that today? Is that in frame? I think I sit in front of it, but the spinning top will spin. A lot of people like the Spin Series #1. I think for business penmanship or whatnot, I think it's great. I'm not a fan of using it for ornamental penmanship really, or for capitals and stuff. Personally, why did the top already stop spinning? What? Well, that wasn't 4 hours. Or it was. Rocky. The Leonard Principle can be really good. I do feel like they're a little stiff. The perfect nib to me, if I could have Hunt 101, the flexibility of a Hunt 101 with the point of a Gillot 303, we'd be in a good spot. That would make me feel very happy. Because I really like the Hunt 101 when I write with it. It feels just very chill, and I feel like I can write essentially effortless. Which it should feel effortless, I think. That's better. Oh, I wanted to try a variation of my signature today that I thought of earlier but haven't tried to write yet. That little loop in there like Eric did on his variation. I wanted to see if that G could be a hairline and then almost seamlessly go into the M or the W stem. Can that work? I mean, maybe? Interesting. It's interesting. Not a fan. It's kind of neat though. I do like that extra loop in there, in the G, which I don't use in my own signature, and feel like I should maybe start. Oof, too close together. I think this is one of those magical 303s because it shades really, really easily. Yeah, I think I like the way that looks. The G should be smaller though a little bit. Sure, Cyril, sure. I wouldn't say no to that. Oops. Wonky oval. I want to write shaded Spencerian more often. Little signwriter script action. Oops. Spacing, all kinds of off. All right, Peter, have a good one. Thanks for hanging out. Sleep well. Yeah, next week we'll have a stream. And I don't know if we'll have a stream the week after that. Because I leave for Germany on the 3rd, I think. So we're running out of days. I gotta be careful because the Hunt 10 or because the Gillot 303 is more flexible and it's easier to control or it's easier to do things. If I put too much work in, I get those super wobbly lines. You gotta do less to get the same result. I mean, give them a shot, Brian. See how they feel. I can't say what the modern ones are like, but it's a nib that lots of people like, so. I'm still annoyed that, whoops, at Iampith this past summer, I didn't stock up on Hunt 101s, and I was supposed to, and I'm disappointed that I didn't. I was supposed to stock up, and I totally forgot on the last day, and then when I remembered, John Neal was all packed up. What's going on, Brian? How you doing? Oh, hold your paper down, Mike. Rookie mistake. Late night chores. Oh, what kind of chores? That's better. Dish cleaning, nice. I always gotta ask when people say chores, because for me, when somebody says chores, I think hauling bales to the cows, opening fences for the tractor, things like that. Growing up, those were my chores. I also had dusting and cleaning and things like that, but I don't think about those when I think chores. When I think chores, I think of farm chores, which I didn't have a ton of farm chores because I had older sisters that had more farm chores than I did, but I still think of farm chores. Oh no! Did you know the battery was dead when you were driving? I guess probably not, I'm assuming. That's no fun. Yeah, really glad that it didn't stop when you were in traffic or something. Oh, that would suck. Luckily, even on a dead battery, when the battery's dead and the car's going, it keeps going until you stop it, so. Did you get a friend to boost it, or did you call AMA or AAA or something to get it sorted? Oof. Luckily you were home. Yikes, that's scary. So battery replacement. It happened to a friend of mine's car in LA once. Oh, nice. $10 for a new battery is... That's the best news ever. I'm not looking forward to the battery dying eventually in my car. It will one day. But I drive a Honda Fit, and the batteries are like super custom, like weird sized. I would rather just go to a place, buy a generic battery and put it in, but you can't do that with my car. You gotta get the fancy one that fits properly. I honestly don't know. I don't want to know. Whatever the number is, it's more than I think it should. Chinese proverbs. Well, here. Give me a Chinese proverb, Brian, and I'll write it. There's probably plenty I could find that I would like. And send it to you. Oh, you want, like, I could do a... I need to send you some specimens. honestly speaking, I've hardly had time to do much writing at all lately. I'm very happy that I have these Tuesday nights when I'm home, so that I at least get on and do these sessions, because I haven't had a lot of time to do personal practice sessions or writing sessions lately. I don't know any Chinese proverbs. I like this little quote that feels like a Chinese proverb, but I'm pretty sure it's not, because it's a line from Kung Fu Panda. I gotta get back in the habit of writing quotes and whatnot more often. I want to look up more of the, was it Goodfellow? A lot of the old penmen wrote Goodfellow poems and quotes all the time. I gotta look up more of his work. Look, Goodfellow? No, Longfellow. Longfellow, I think was his name. Do you remember what the proverb was, Marilyn? Thank you very much, Cyril. I have completely fallen in love with the short Y. Just that little guy. It just works so well, so often. I've started using it quite often. But specifically, I use it, like the reason I used it here. I use it often if it's close to the left side. Then I'll use it so the tail doesn't pull too much energy going that way, sort of off the design. If I do that little thing, it keeps the sort of attention in the piece. I'll be 100% honest, I don't always have that thought process as I'm going. I change up the variations of letters I use a lot, especially the Y and the G. And there's not always rhyme or reason for the variation that I use. Same with the R, but I pretty much use the ending R all the time now. I'm trying to get back in the habit of using the standard R, because I use pretty much exclusively, either I use the terminal R at the beginning, at the end, in the middle, pretty much everywhere. Because I just really like the way it looks, but I want to get in the habit of using both a little more often. When one not look both ways, possibility of being struck increases. True. That is a valid, true statement. That's good. That Chinese proverb changed the way you live your life. That's wonderful. Oof, not very consistent today. Also, not following a baseline. One of my favorite capital Y's to use. I like short capital Y as well, if you do something like this. Something like so. You don't have to have the extra line on the end. But I like having the long Y, or sorry, the capital Y be with the short shade script as well. I find quite appealing. Yours truly. I always connect those when I write letters. In the rare occasion that I write letters. That's better. Oh, that's what we're talking about. The majestic Y. Nice. I like that. I mean, it's a good line, whether it's a Chinese proverb or from Alice in Wonderland. It's still good. I write victory a lot as well. I think, now that I think about it, I write a lot of Y's, and then I end up, one word that I write often, but not because I really intend to, I write the word youth a lot for some reason or another. Like, I'll write a Y because I enjoy writing capital Y's. In whatever variation it is, and then I don't have any good Y words, so I end up just writing youth. For no good reason. There are plenty of good Y words. I just always, when I write a capital Y, I freeze up and I can't think of any good Y words. Gregory, that's a good word. Or a name. When I write a good G, I always end up, I usually tend to follow it with gorgeous, quite often. Even if the G's not all that gorgeous. I write the word gorgeous a lot. Oof, no control. Hello, Olivia. Oh, a haircut? Yeah, got a haircut about a week ago. It had been many, many months. I had really put it off far too long. So I got it cut. Before I went to Kelowna last week, before I left town. Yeah, a lot of people, the short G is dangerous because it can look like a Q. I still use it quite often, but it can be read as a Q. I should probably use it less, but it's, like I said, there's not a whole lot of thought. Like, I didn't intentionally really use that Q. I just kind of, I think my brain, like, anybody play Super Mario Brothers 3 in the chat? On the original Nintendo. So when Super Mario Brothers 3, when you went into Toad's hut and you had to do the You get to choose, ideally, 3 of the same thing, and they were quickly, what was it? A fire flower, a toad, a star. Was that just it with those 3 things? And they were scrolling by really quickly, and you just, when you click, whatever one is going by is the one you get. And that's kind of what's happening in here. I'm not really thinking about them. Whatever one my brain thinks of first is the one that I end up writing. I don't remember where I saw the short G. I saw it in an old specimen, and it got me thinking about it, and I liked it. And then I've sort of used it since then. But it is dangerous. I mean, it looks the exact same as the, it can look like a variation of the Q. So I have to be careful. I don't write the Q like that, though, usually. I write the Q with the little loop, but, yeah, it's dangerous. It's one of those ones that I know it's risky, but I do it anyways, 'cause I'm a rebel. Oh, I spelled wrong. And my hairline is bad, which means there's dry ink on the end of my nib. Writing should look like spaced. Good hairlines, bad hairlines. Cyril is new to the stream. Wait, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you were here. You were here on the last stream, Cyril. But how many streams now have you been here? It's been a few, right? It's been at least 2. All Tuesday nights blend together in my brain. O'clock whistle. The name of a tap routine. That's the name of a song too? Maybe it's the name of a song. The tap routine is just named after the song. Wow, 7 in the morning. Well, I appreciate you waking up. Sorry for getting you up so early in the morning. Oh, hold your paper still. Tiny capitals. Whoa, why are all those... They all feel terrible. Smooth. I need smooth. That's better. That's not very good though. That's what we want. There's a lot of hours of pre-stream shows. That's a lot of catching up. A whole lot of me rambling, talking about who knows what. I thank you for going through them, though. I'm glad you enjoy them. Oh, you asked it in the chat? Did you ask it and I didn't see it? I apologize, Marilyn. I don't always catch everything in the chat. If it comes to you, let me know. I have not been in the... Oh, the Calligraphy Masters. No. For no good reason. Me and Milan were supposed to arrange an interview thing at one point. There was an audio one that I did once. He recorded my voice answering some questions once. Or maybe I typed answers and he wrote them. Or he spoke them on a video once a long time ago. But no, when like the Calligraphy Masters did the podcast and all that kind of stuff, I've never done an episode, and I for no good reason. Just my schedule and things like that. It was, they had asked and I had said yes. And then life happens and here we are. I feel like everybody knows the answers I have to those questions anyway. I've talked so much on live videos and things like that, answering random questions and whatnot. I feel like, and I could be wrong, but it feels like everybody knows my answers and how I feel about things. Because I tell people every week. I should message him and get on there. Or see if he'd be interested. There we go. Control your shades, Mike. Control your shades. Why? Why won't that just go smooth? That's better. It's not seven-sided or seven-shaded. Oof. The seven-shaded. Oh, we'll revisit that again one day, but today is not the day, I don't think. Whoa, the entry into the shade is just so wonky on that one today. For some reason, because my hand says, no, we want to do lowercase today. Oh, tea. Come on. I think I took one sip like an hour ago. Ugh. Still good. Luckily, I like cold tea. You don't need coffee, Odeswinnie. Nobody needs coffee. When I'm traveling... Sorry, I just read Marilyn's response. The hell I don't. Fine, I won't stop you from drinking your coffee. When I'm traveling, depending where I'm traveling to, like if I'm going to a convention, like I'm going to IAMPIT or something like that, if it's specifically for penmanship, then I will bring my ink stirrer with me. I don't really like writing with white ink anymore without the ink stirrer. I can. Like I wrote with white ink for years without an ink stirrer, but now that I'm used to having the stirrer, I just like that the white ink is always consistent and it's good. Yeah, it separates, like I'm not using Dr. Martens now, but this separates just like Dr. Martens. And I just have to continually have to manual stir it, which is fine, but usually if I'm traveling, I just won't bring white ink. I'll use iron gall and I'll just bring white paper or ivory paper. I only use white paper, like I bring it to convention, or if I can be somewhere where I can have a desk that my ink stirrer can go on. But like my ink stirrer it's USB powered, so I can have a little battery to plug in, so I can use it on a desk. Like that's what I did at IAMPIT this year when I wrote with white. Like I did what was called the night with the masters when we were writing names and stuff, and I did that with white ink, with my stirrer on the table, because I just prefer it with the stirrer. It ensures that the ink is always the same consistency and the same opacity and whatnot. That was my original favorite O that I used to write back in the day. I don't use it very often anymore, though. For some reason, with the capital O, doing that variation of the capital O, double shaded, are the best O ovals I do. When I try to do other variations of the O, they don't look good. But that one is always pretty consistent. Three to 4 hours of sleep is not enough, Odeswinnie. You are correct. That is very true. Oh, dipping in the ink and then dipping just the tip in water? I usually get between 7 and 8, 6 and 8 usually, 6 and 8. Unless I'm having a lazy day, then I'll get a little bit more sometimes, but I usually stay up too late to get that much. That was a nice V. Wonderful. That oval is beautiful. That's not as good. But that entry, that needs a happy face. So smooth and fluid. Hold your paper. Hold your paper. Too long. Better shade, not on a baseline. I can't even see the baseline. There we go. I should maybe print my lines slightly darker so I can see them just a little bit better. I like that they're faint, but sometimes I feel like they're too faint with the lights. That's a good one. Oof. That's not on the baseline at all. I can't see it. The C's on the baseline, but that's the only one. You wrote me a letter, James? Woohoo! I haven't got it yet. That being said, I haven't checked my... Did you send it to my home or my P.O. box? The P.O. box? I haven't checked my P.O. box in a little bit, but I'm gonna go check it tomorrow. Oh, okay. Well, I'll probably still check my P.O. box tomorrow because I haven't checked it in a long time. But I look forward to getting a letter. Woo! James wrote me a letter. James wrote me a letter. Hopefully it's not completely powder. That's what the P in PH Martins stands for, isn't it? PH Martins? Doc Martens? Doc Martens. That's a shoe. PH Martins. Yes, you did, Olivia, and I'm sorry. I owe many people. There's the stack is right there that I owe letters. If it makes you feel any better, Olivia, the letter I wrote James originally, I wrote 2 years ago? I think I wrote 2 years ago. And then I finally wrote an update and then sent both of them, is what he got. It was so long ago when I wrote the first one. I'm so bad at that stuff. It's what goes along with being a penman, and I'm the worst at it. Just the worst. I used to write letters all the time. And then I just stopped. When I write letters, I enjoy writing letters. I just get out of the habit and then I forget. And then before I know it, it's been a long time. With James's original letter, I wrote 30 letters for International Correspondence Writing Month, and then I didn't have envelopes. So I didn't mail them. Yeah, was that pre-COVID? Holy crap. Or was that the year of COVID? I know I was in the basement suite. Jeepers. Pre-COVID. Silly Mike. Silly, silly, silly. No excuses. Smooth it out. Ooh, brings up a good point. That X that I just did, I'm trying to get in the habit. I want to stop using that X. That one. Which, nothing wrong with it, but I want to get in the habit of using this X. Where you come all the way here, and then there. I want to start using that X more often. It's true. We've known each other and we've been penmen for such a long time. 8 or 9 years. And this is the first letter you've ever sent? That's like, well, Chin has owed me a letter for years. She got mad at me the last letter I wrote her because it was in blacklight ink. Oh, you guys are getting an ad, I think, right now. I don't know how long the ads are, so I don't even know if you guys can still hear me talk, or if I'm all on my own right now, until the ad is done. I don't know. I don't know how this YouTube ad thing works. No ad, alright, well there we go. There might not have been one. But yeah, I wrote Chin a letter in blacklight ink, and she got mad at me because she had to drive around the city finding a black light so that she could read it. Originally, she thought that I just sent her an empty piece of paper because I owed her a letter for a long time. And she kept giving me a hard time, telling me that I owed her a letter. So I wrote her, and she thought that I just sent her a blank envelope. But then when she found out it was a blacklight letter, she eventually read it, but then she never wrote me back. That being said, she has sent me Christmas cards over the years that I've never responded to, so I probably owe her a letter because of that. You always gotta check the letters I send. with a black light, because you never know. If I send you a letter, there's always a possibility that it'll have little black light stickmen on it somewhere. I never remember what letters I do it to. I don't do it to all of them. But every once in a while, there'll be a little black light surprise somewhere in the letter. For fun. Yeah, she was ticked. She sent me an angry message. Not like actually angry, but because she thought I just did a fancy envelope and just sent a folded up piece of paper. Nope, it was a full letter, just in black light. She just thought I sent it just to get her off my back, because she had owed me a letter, because I'd owed her a letter for so long. But then she never wrote me back, so I think that was the last before these letters that never got sent. I think that was maybe one of the last pieces of correspondence with a penman I ever sent. I've written hundreds of letters, but they're always to people who, when somebody buys a blotter or something like that, I write a full, like a handwritten thank you note to everybody. A thank you letter. I don't write thank you note. I write a thank you letter to everybody. But those don't really count. Blacklight papers do, on occasion, get mixed up with the non-blacklight papers. For example, just today I had these two gray pieces of paper on my desk, and I didn't know specifically why they were there, if they were used or unused, so you have to turn the blacklight on and check, because sometimes you can't tell. Those ones were blank, but sometimes when I'm cleaning up, they'll just blank. They look like blank sheets down there on my discarded practice paper pile, and then they end up in another pile, and then I find out that they are used. It happens quite often. I'm not used to shading with this nib. It feels weird. Too much is what I'm doing. I need to do less. Too much. That's better, but get the angle right. It's true. If penmen were cooks, the world would starve. Nope, Well, yeah, the world would starve. There would just be a lot of food. The penman would make a lot of food, but just nobody would ever get it. It would just, I guess, go bad in the fridge. Is that the equivalent of practicing and filling pages of writing but not actually sending it to anybody? Look how perfectly I cut this piece of carrot. Yep. Straight up. I'd be putting happy faces and X's next to the food that I make. I don't know if I have the control to do an alphabet run tonight. Good night, Marilyn. Yeah, that's what I want with that very slightly rounded bottom. Wonder if any penmen ever did the W in 2 strokes, like they would do the ascender. I wonder if any do that. That would make it, I mean, a heck of a lot easier. What do you guys think? Do any of you do the W in 2 strokes, like an ascender? I've thought about it before, but never actually did it in practice. Makes sense. I can't tell if I like splitting it up into 2 strokes or not. It's easier to control. Curious, curious, curious. Weird shade placement on those. The earlier the eyes look, the harder they are. Yep. The easier the eyes look. Oh. Yeah. I feel like that's penmanship in general. When everything is working, it's the easiest thing in the world. When letters just work, it's all simple and perfect and smooth, no effort required. It's just impossible to always do it, to always make it easy. Ooh, very too pointy. That's better. Where do you get your splatter when you start at 0? At the very beginning? Going into that upstroke? I think that's where most people get it. I feel like PP drills or rocket drills. I feel like these are Fozzie pajama stream names. The night is over, my friends. What are we, 11:41? That's it for me today. My eyes are starting to go buggy. I think I gotta take my contacts out tonight. Right on cue, Ojaswini. I could end at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning. I could keep going for 5 more hours. And I'm pretty sure Ojaswini's response would still be, "So soon? Why already?" Oh, why did that feel so weird? Something was strange with my ink jar. It's true, her day's just starting, our day's just ending. I had planned to do some scrapbook editing tonight, but then I got into lowercase writing and I just kept writing and writing and writing. I think next week I'm going to do a combo stream where I'll write for a little bit and then I will do some scrapbook editing. I think I want to do, there's a Zahner and Blozer practice book, or a book made of their practice pages. I think it was bound afterwards. In the Scranton University collection, and the photos I took aren't the best, but they're not bad, so I want to edit them, get them all cropped and whatnot. Alright everybody, sweet dreams if it's evening for you, if it's morning for you. Please have a wonderful day. Don't forget to fall in love with the process. We love this process. It's enjoyable. Have fun with penmanship. If you have any questions, as always, shoot me a message on Instagram. Write the question down in the description here if you weren't here for the live stream, to ask in the chat, and I can answer any questions. Or if you have ideas for future streams or things you'd love to see in future streams, let me know and we can work that in. With all that said, I already said fall in love with the process, so don't forget everybody that life should be just a bit of silliness, really. Bye-bye.